Happy Bill of Rights Day. On this day in 1791, the Founding Fathers ratified the first 10 amendments to the Constitution, which, of course, includes, among other things, protections for speech, assembly, religion, and the right to bear arms. The anniversary is all the more important this year in light of the circumstances in which we currently find ourselves. As we discuss frequently on this show, Americans have become subject to restrictions and public health measures of dubious constitutionality. Last month, for example, the Supreme Court ruled that attendance limits placed on religious gatherings were unconstitutional, with Justice Neil Gorsuch writing, quote, "While the pandemic poses many grave challenges, there is no world in which the Constitution tolerates color-coded executive edicts that reopen liquor stores and bike shops but shutter churches, synagogues, and mosques." Despite the ruling, it appears that many Americans are growing increasingly comfortable with these restrictions, an alarming fact to say the least. Joining us now is Glenn Jacobs, mayor of Knox County, Tennessee, and a vocal defender of American liberties. Mayor Jacobs, good to see you.
Hey, Buck, how are you?
How do you gauge where we are right now in our struggle for basic constitutional freedom and individual liberty? I have to say I've been surprised at how much the American people overall across the country have been willing to put up with when it comes to the dictates of elected officials that are trampling on constitutional rights.
I think it varies state by state and in some cases community by community. Of course, when we look at the blue states such as California and New York, the things that are going on there, it's a lot different here in Tennessee and other places. The folks here in Tennessee, we've managed to keep things as normal as a situation like this can be, and respected people's freedom of choice, as well as the liberties enshrined in the Bill of Rights and the Constitution. But it is worrying when I look at other parts of the country and see some of the things that 9 months ago would we have even envisioned that these things could be going on in America. And I don't think we could, but unfortunately they are.
It seems to me that we're also getting a bit of a lesson in the capricious nature, the arbitrary nature of so many government edicts. In that Supreme Court decision that we mentioned in the introduction here, Gorsuch was pointing out that it has been the case that in states like New York and California, they have given greater protection to smoke shops and liquor stores than they have to church when it comes to the pandemic and the necessary functions that these things pose. It feels to me, Mayor Jacobs, like we're getting a lesson there.
I believe so. Again, here in Tennessee, the governor has not touched churches. He offered some recommendations and said, "Hey, I really want you guys to do this, but we believe in freedom of religion here, and we don't believe that government under any circumstances can tell churches, mosques, or synagogues, or temples, or anything else what they can do." I think when we look at, say, Gavin Newsom and just some of the things that have come out of California, it really is, as you said, capricious. I mean, they make decisions, say they're based on science. The science doesn't back it up. Everybody at this point realizes that the lockdowns have not been able to contain the spread of COVID-19. In fact, when we look at states that are experiencing surges, and Tennessee is right there, unfortunately. But in many cases, these are states that have already had strict restrictions in place, and now they're doubling down with even more stringent restrictions. And it's Einstein's definition of insanity. If something doesn't work, well, you just keep on doing it over and over and over again. And again, that's especially true when we look at something like freedom of religion. Our country is really founded on the idea of religious freedom, and that is being undermined in some parts of the country.
How is Tennessee? I mean, this is particularly interesting to hear because New York and California, because of the extreme nature of the lockdowns, the duration of them, get a lot of attention. Florida, from conservatives, gets a fair amount of attention because it does not go to those extremes and has been, in terms of hospitalizations and fatalities, considerably better over the course of the pandemic than, say, New York or even California now. How has Tennessee been doing, and what lessons learned in terms of the balance between safety and liberty, do you feel your state has picked up?
When we look at Florida and compare with Tennessee, we've done many of the same things that Florida has done. Governor Lee just hasn't been on the various cable news networks talking about it like Governor DeSantis has. Unfortunately, now we are seeing a big spike in cases and hospitalizations and tragically deaths. And that's, again, when we compare us to the rest of the country, this is something that's been going on everywhere. So I think that we've been able to do a good job of balancing the public health aspect while also respecting people's liberties and rights. This is, in the end, this is a terrible situation. And I think that we all need to realize that it's not something that's going to go away tomorrow, unfortunately. But at the same point in time, there is going to be an end. And I think that's something that we really need to think about moving forward is the damage that's being done to our system of government and to our political system. And can that be walked back? Can that be reeled in? When you give a politician power, they aren't apt to give it up very easily. So, as we walk the rest of the way through this pandemic, hopefully to see an end, I think that's going to be the country's next challenge is when we talk about normal, will we get back to a normal system of government that Americans have been used to in the past?
How concerned are you that there will be additional efforts even after the distribution of the vaccine gets to the kind of widespread numbers where we could talk about herd immunity, that there will be other, either state by state or perhaps even under a Biden administration, federal initiatives to use a health emergency to once again tell everybody that the Constitution, at least in some places, in some cases, does not count anymore?
I think there is a real danger of that. We're already seeing that. Initially, this whole thing was 2 weeks to flatten the curve, and then a month, and then that was months and months ago. And now we're told that when a vaccine became available, that was a really good sign. But now we're being told that we're going to have to keep up with restrictions even for the foreseeable future. We look around the world. Calgary, Alberta, Canada actually just extended their mask mandate till December of 2021. And we see public health officials, not only in the U.S., but around the world saying that this is going to go on for throughout the rest of next year and on. So that is very troubling that when do we finally get to say, that we are America again? Then that the freedoms and liberties that are the bedrock of this country, that they're important, and that, yes, public health is of course vital, but at the same point in time, we have to realize that we can't sacrifice what makes us America for this. At some point, it's going to be an illusion of health and safety, I believe.
Mayor Jacobs, good to see you, sir. Always a pleasure. Thanks for talking to us.